Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of Intercultural. Welcome to another episode of Intercultural Conversations. Uh, Today, my background is not the same because I'm visiting home, visiting the parents, and it's my dad's birthday today. So, two things to celebrate. One, that we have Lova joining us, and also daddy's birthday. So it's a great evening for me. And before I actually add Luva to the conversation, I wanted to give people some context to what our conversation is going to be about today. Um, when I started the series, the my purpose was to make people understand, especially people from different cultures, kind of understand the differences and the similarities of the place that they come from. I think in that difference and similarities, there is so much to learn. And for today's conversation, we will be kind of getting an entrepreneur's perspective. But this entrepreneur, she's based in Madagascar. And we could probably learn, being from different parts of the world, what her journey is, what is the similarities, difficulties, and struggles that she had, or she has rather. And next time if you're meeting probably a person who is from Madagascar, you have a better perspective and more context to their story. So yes, I think I'm just going to add Luva first and then introduce her. Just give me a second. I would have otherwise played some music for Luva before she joined in, but apparently that is not possible on Instagram anymore. Suddenly the live just stops if I play music. So yes. Luva, you've declined my invitation to join. Why? I'm going to send it to you again. So yes.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, I'm so
How are
happy to see
you?
you. I'm
Yeah, so
good.
happy
How
to
are
see
you
you.
doing?
Yeah, it's
Oh
been
God,
such a long time.
yes, I don't know if I'm hormonal or emotional. I'm just so extremely happy to see your face.
Yeah, me
How are you
too.
doing?
Very well.
Uh,
I'm really excited to do this with you.
yes, I'm glad you are because I'm very excited as well. So I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to you. And if I miss out something, please feel free to add. Um, Yes. So Luba is actually an entrepreneur. She has her own digital marketing agency in Madagascar that helps small businesses, which is a great feat on its own. But what makes her agency unique is that for every project that they get, they plant trees in Madagascar, depending on how big or small the project is. Yes. And I think that is so amazing, to be a part of that change in order to help reforest Madagascar in any big or small way possible. So I'm extremely proud of you for that, and I'm so glad I know you. And
Me too.
she's also one of the co-founders of a community called Vegasy. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And Vegasy is basically a community that teaches people different recipes, vegan recipes from Madagascar.
Yes.
So, because I think one of the main issues that people have with converting into veganism is they think that there are not enough tasty options available, but you are giving them access to that information and also helping them there. So
Yes.
yes, that's very little about Lua.
Yes,
I'm
that
sure
is
there is
already
so
a
much
lot
more to
actually.
her. That's a lot.
It took me all my life.
All your life in order to help and contribute towards change. So that's amazing. So yes, Lua, welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Intercultural Conversation. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very grateful. So let's dive into it. Do you want to add something? Did I miss out something?
No, actually, it was very pretty much clear, and I'm actually so pleased to be part of this conversation that you started.
Yeah, thank you so much. So actually, I'm going to actually start off with a little bit of a difficult question here, Loa, and I know that um, that's not how you would want to start things off, but I can understand that it's very difficult to fit in the entirety of a history of a country in a few minutes, let alone, just in a half an hour conversation. But if you wanted to tell people something about Madagascar, right? Because there are people right now and my followers and your followers who are from everywhere and from from multiple continents and from many countries. So is there anything about maybe the history of Madagascar, Madagascar as a country that you really wished people knew about and that you would like to actually share?
Yes. So I think I'm going to start with the culture, like not with people first. I think it's important to say that it's Madagascar is a really pleasant country to live in because of the
Yes.
people. Like I think we are really welcoming, welcoming even between ourselves, Malagasy with Malagasy and Malagasy with foreigners. Like I think it's a very Asian and also African way of receiving
Yes.
people. But when you have guests at home, and even if you don't have much, you really try to put your heart into it and like give everything you can, like to make people at ease and make them comfortable, and this is what I really love about my culture and my country. And what else can I add? The food is really really important. Like
Yay! I
um,
can. Actually,
yeah,
I think I
like
want to come to
actually,
Madagascar for the food, especially because I
yeah,
see all
yeah.
your posts. Yes.
But actually, we also have like a great Asian influence. Like
Hmm.
most of our food is like based on Indian or Chinese or Thai
Hmm.
recipes, and
Okay.
also very African way of cooking, and
Yes, because
so
historically
that's
there were a lot of immigrants from India,
yes, exactly.
um,
Yeah,
forced
exactly.
labor. I wouldn't say immigrants, but there were forced labor that were
Yeah,
taken to
yeah,
Madagascar
yeah.
as well. So from that's why there's a lot of Asian
Yes,
influence
and this
too,
is also
which
what
I'm so
makes.
happy that's a connection that you and I have.
Yes, yes, actually, yeah, but this is what makes it actually very rich because we have so many influences, and it makes a great mix, really. And
I completely
and
agree because the reason why I actually also started off with this question is because even though there was so much forced labor that was taken into Madagascar from India, we didn't learn much about Madagascar in school,
yes,
right?
like
And I also think that holds true to many other countries who don't know much about India or Madagascar. So that's the reason why I wanted to start it off with that question.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And there's also I think one thing that I would add about Madagascar is the way we are as people. I mean, like we really are how to say that, like we're really religious. Most of people here are Christian, and
Oh, okay.
but also Muslim and everything. But
Hmm.
it's really important to mention because I think it shapes most of the things we do and how we act in life. and
Yes.
um, and for example, when we I mean, this is really cultural, but then it's about how for example, when we have conversations with our families, it's always we should do this because in the Christianism it's like this, or things like that.
Mm.
Sometimes it can be good. I mean, we have like some really great education elements from that, but also sometimes
Yes.
it can be limiting or difficult, when especially when you're a woman in my country, for example, like you have more limitations than how do we say that, than opportunities, for example, just regarding religion. Yeah.
Yes, I can because even I can completely relate to that because India is a very diverse country too, not only with respect to cultures but also religions. So I grew up around a lot of religions, but when you grow up around a lot of religions, you also see how that is used against people in order to create kind of hatred. I'm using strong words here, but that's the feeling that I have these days. And also, religion is such a normalized part of our lives, and it's very ingrained in our everyday conversation and in our everyday routine also. It's very normal that you're walking on the street and you hear the temple bells at the same
Yes.
time, and you hear the prayer call for the mosque, and you hear the uh, you know the hymns in the church, etc. It's very common to have grown up in that kind of diversity, but then you can also see the flip side to it. And that you
Yeah.
mentioned that, being a woman, then in growing up in that kind of a diverse environment and then seeing the differences. I wanted to understand then for you, how is it being a woman in Madagascar? Or
Okay.
how is it being, uh, you identify as feminist. So how is it for you being a feminist in Madagascar? Because I think an experience of a woman in India is definitely different for me.
Mhm.
It differs based on which part of the country you're in, how much privilege you come from, if you're in the urban area and the rural area. So your experience as a woman is very different based on where you are in India. So I just wanted to understand, is it the same in Madagascar? Is it different? How is it?
Actually, I think in my experience, I had the opportunity and the chance to travel a bit. Like I grew up in
Okay.
Mauritania, for example, and I've been traveling a bit around, Senegal, Morocco, and other countries in the western part of Africa. And
Okay.
and when I came back to Madagascar, I never thought, because these countries are actually very open-minded. Like at least that's what I thought at first. And when I came back to Madagascar, I never thought that I would face some situations where I would feel bad about being a woman. I didn't think that because I grew
Yes.
up also in a family where we were really how to say that, open-minded, and having an education where women are equal with men. And when I came back
Hmm.
here, I started to realize that actually it was not how do we say that, like that at all in Madagascar. Like just because you're a woman, you have obligations. Just when, for example, I'm 27, and
Okay.
27 normally is you should be married, you should have kids, you should be a nice wife and everything. And I'm none of that. Like I'm not married, I don't have children. And it's and I didn't think that I would be in that situation when I'm when people tell, when my aunts and uncles, for example, they tell me every time, well, Luva, it's time to get married, it's time to have children. And at first
Hmm.
I didn't care, but when it's repeated and repeated and repeated, it's at some point you're like it's
Yes,
kind of
I think.
still
Yeah, I,
yeah.
I completely understand that because it's very similar. It's very similar in
Yeah,
India, and I'm 30,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
not married, and not a nice wife
yeah.
to anybody still. So I can clearly see the similarities there. And I think it can get frustrating because then your identity as a woman
Yes,
becomes okay, then you are fulfilled as a person only if you are attached to somebody else.
yes, exactly,
But
yeah.
yes, and it usually happens in cultures that are more collective, who have much more family orientations, where there's importance given to a collective and to a family. So I'm assuming that's the same in Madagascar, also family and building a
Yes,
home and building the future
yeah,
through children
yes,
is very important. Yes, that's the influence of the Asian culture and the African culture
yeah.
as well, for
Also,
sure.
yeah, yeah, as well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, and the thing is, I didn't think that I would have to fight for that. I mean, it became part of me to be like, no, but being a woman is not just limited to being a wife and being the mother of children,
Thank
and
you.
for
Yeah.
example, when I talk about starting my own business was like the wow, the how do we say that, the weirdest thing and the weirdest decision that I made
The
for my
most
family.
bizarre
It's
thing.
like, but how are you going to build your family? And but this is not a question for now for me. I mean, like, now the only
Mm.
question is, how do I make this business work? And that's it, And
Yes.
yeah, and
Actually, that
yeah,
that was going to be my, next question to you, that
yeah,
how has your journey with your startup been like? I would love
yeah,
to know about your entrepreneurial journey, because these are some of the challenges that you face that are very societal. And then what I want people to see is that
mhm,
there's so many similarities wherever you go. In
yeah,
different cultures you go, the level, or the level is not the right word. The way in which we face the struggles and the way in which we face the challenges may be different, but then clearly there are challenges for women everywhere, right? So
yeah.
I just wanted to understand, generally, how has your startup journey been like? And am I pronouncing it right? It's called Haryala.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
is it because you plant trees for every project that you get?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually,
So I'm sorry, but in Hindi, the word for greenery is Haryali.
oh yeah.
So yes, and I was just
Oh
so
wow.
amazed by that. Like, yes,
Oh
another
wow,
connection.
amazing. It's really funny because in Malagasy, Ari Ala means building forest. Like building
Oh wow,
that
greenery and green
wow.
flora
Oh
and fauna. Yes, that's so
yeah.
nice. So
Oh,
yes,
I'm
coming
gonna
back to the
add this to the list
question.
of yeah.
Sorry.
I'm going to add this to the list of why I named it Ariala. Yeah. Okay.
Because it's also
So
Haryali in Hindi.
yes. So actually, I was working as a freelancer for 5 years now, um, and I created Ariala with a friend 2 years ago, and I
Mhm.
created it because I loved freelancing. I was really happy about my independence and freedom, But at some point, when you were a freelancer, you discover that you cannot take as many projects as you would, because you work alone and you would
Mhm.
need more people and everything. And so this is when I decided to work with a partner, and we decided to create a company and everything, and get more projects and everything. And so when you start a company, it's like the moment you decide that you're going to start a company, you think you have it all figured out. Like, I know exactly how I'm going to do this. I know exactly what type of clients, I know exactly this and that. And on the paper, when you write everything down, it's really great. Like, it's like, wow, I did my best, my best, how do you say that, my best project. Like, everything is okay now. But then when you go out with this and you meet your first clients, you just realize that it's actually not that simple. Like,
Nope.
you actually have to, yeah, it's like a big slap in your face. Like, no, it's not that, it's not exactly that, like,
Hmm.
I had my first offer, for example, all designed very, very nice and everything. I thought the price was good. I thought the project was really good. And then I gave it to the client, and then they said, "Oh no, this is exactly not exactly what we want. Like, we want this, this, and that." And I was real disappointed because I thought I was doing the best I could, and it was not what they wanted. And so this is
Mm.
when you start to understand actually that everything is not always going to go as you plan. It's more about,
Mm.
you need to be willing to think differently and to adapt and actually to co-create with your client, because your best business partner is your client actually. Like, if they're happy and if you manage to have like the hard conversation about what exactly for how much and everything, then
Yeah.
then now you find the right product and how you
Mm.
how you work together. And actually, this is one example, but for my experience, like now for in 2 years, I feel like it's the same thing every day. Like, you have actually to adapt and try things again and try and until you find something that works for one client. And something that works for one client doesn't necessarily work
Well,
for another client. So it's
True.
like you have to do the process every single day, and this is what is difficult. But then when you manage to work like that every day, it works.
Yes,
Finally.
I'm sure. And does the fact that you help in the reforestation of Madagascar really help you as an organization? Are then companies attracted to associate with you because there is also a very noble cause attached to it? I think it's
Yeah.
noble. Maybe for you it's something very
Thank
natural,
you.
but for
Yes.
me it's
Actually,
quite noble, to do that.
yes. Actually, when we started in 2020, there were like a very big bushfires, and this is why we
Mm.
decided to actually. This is a major problem in Madagascar, that we lost like 60% of our forest in like less than 20 years, and
Whoa.
it was really sad to hear that and to know that. So this is why we decided to have this direction. Like we need to plant trees, and at first I thought it could be like attracting for the clients, like, oh, they're doing something nice for the environment, let's sign with them. But actually in the real world, people are not that
They're not that
I mean, like,
kind.
this is
They
nothing.
don't
Yeah,
care that much, is it?
yeah, exactly. Like
Yes.
they not really, even when you try to explain like what you're doing and how you're doing it, and start with the planting trees thing, they're like, okay, but this is what I want, like it's really
Let's talk about me first.
yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah.
but in a way it's kind of understandable, because they contact you first, not because you plant trees, but because you do like social
Yeah.
media management and everything. But this is
Yes,
something that,
the core of your business still remains digital
yeah,
marketing. What you do as a result of that,
yeah,
that's reforestation, is just a byproduct of
yes,
the
yes,
company's existence.
exactly.
Yes.
But then we
And
still do it, and yeah. Oh, sorry, you wanted to.
go ahead. No, no,
Okay.
no, go ahead.
Actually, we do it. So at first, we wanted to do it by ourselves, like the company, um, organize the tree planting days and everything. But we realized that it was not really feasible, because we're not that many, and also
Mm-hmm.
we that it's actually how do we say that, um easier to work with people that already did this before, like associations
Okay.
or local landowners. Because the other fact is also that we need to follow up on the tree planting. Like 1 year from now, are the trees still there? Are they
Oh, yes. There's a
living?
process. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yes, true.
the whole process. And I've actually been working with some associations,
Hmm.
where actually they forget that they've planted something in this place like last year and everything, and so it's like we did all these efforts for nothing, and we
Why
have to
not? They
do everything
literally
again.
forgot. I think the
Yeah,
monitoring of it is so important. You really have to monitor these things.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is when we started to actually work with local landowners, because they live like there, and they
Hmm.
can just like, we need more water, or we need this, that, or we can find a way to make it work. I mean, but yeah, well, sometimes when we work with
Are
associations.
these landowners then supportive?
Sorry.
Are they supportive? Are the landowners supportive? Do they
Yes,
support
actually,
you? Yeah.
yeah, actually, yes. Like the thing is, at first, like, they are the ones asking, because they have like big lands, and they don't really know what to do with it. So they like
Mm.
calling us to like, yeah, do whatever you want there, but we want this and that. And yeah, but
Okay.
the format is like, actually they give the land for free, and we pay for the trees and everything.
The
And
sapling and
yeah, and this
okay.
is it. Yeah.
That's nice. So I also wanted to kind of understand this is your journey that's been of you as an entrepreneur, but
Mhm.
also so that people can see the similarities and differences. I just wanted to understand how is your experience being a female entrepreneur in Madagascar? Is it Is it the same? Is it just that, I'm creating an unnecessary bias in my head? Or, I would like to know of your experience as a female entrepreneur.
Okay, so I think there were two steps. Like the first thing when I became an entrepreneur is that it was really hard, and then it became easy. This is the general
Yes, surprise.
idea.
It
But
becomes easier
yeah,
at some point.
yes, yes, yes. So actually,
Yes.
when you I was 26 when I started. 26, 25 when I started. And for people in Madagascar, it's still very young to start a company. And so when you
Ah.
go out, like look for suppliers or look for partners and everything, they cannot take you seriously. Like it's just for them, you're just like a woman talking, and like a woman who doesn't know what she's talking about. And
Mm,
it's really hard, because actually you come to talk to people, like sometimes older men, for example, and they're like explaining you why what you're doing is not good. And at first I was really understanding, like oh yeah, maybe he's just trying to explain me some things, and I can learn about it. But at some point when it was repeatedly done, and like I was like, actually this is not right. Like this is just because I'm a young woman, and this is why he tries
mm,
to diminish my work, or yeah, things like that. And it's also hard when you express yourself in society, because you see the look that people have at you, like she's too young to do this, she's a woman, where's her husband, or like why isn't she not talking with her husband or something, or yeah, it's yeah,
yes. I
you
just
feel
want
this.
to, yes, I feel your frustration because I want people to then also see it's so similar. Women have
Yeah, yeah,
similar experiences based
yes,
on whatever
exactly.
country you live in, how much ever
Yeah,
privilege you have. It is clearly the same experience that everybody has. Because
yes,
I've been in rooms, and because one of the consultancy that I was working for before, I was one of the youngest consultants there, because intercultural training in general is very niche, and you need a lot of experience and PhDs, etc., in order to be part of a consultancy in general. And then I was asked questions about my age. I mean, okay, I
yes,
understand that. I understand that. But can we then just focus on my experience that I have,
yes,
irrespective of my age? You know?
exactly.
And yes, it would be frustrating. And when I was working in India for some time, I was in the automobile sector.
Hmm.
Again, it was dominated by men. And nothing against men, but then, there is a certain otherness that you feel
Yes,
when you're not part of the conversation, when you're not looked at directly, when there is an important meeting going on. These are subtle
yes,
things. These are
yes,
subtle
exactly.
things that make an impression in a young girl's mind and then
Yes,
kind of
exactly.
influences her decisions as a grown adult. And yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm so glad that you shared it. Thank you for sharing it. I don't know how difficult it was for you to share this,
Yes.
but so that people
Actually,
can just understand.
yes, it's difficult, because yeah, it kind of it's not normal, but it kind of reminds you, or tells you every time you're trying to do things, like you're just a woman and you're too young for this. Like
Yes.
when you repeat it too much, you start to
Mm.
believe it.
You
You
start
start to believe
believing
it,
it.
and you lose the confidence that you had when you just
Yes.
started. Yeah.
Yes. And
Like,
then, yeah, you need to have that conversation then within you so that you don't convince yourself otherwise. And
yes.
yes, I don't want to get too emotional or carried away with this. So I'm going to move to the next question. I wanted to I wanted to understand from you, how is the startup ecosystem right now in Madagascar? In the sense that, is there help from the government? Is there um, also some kind of specific help that is given to women, or is the Madagascar, the government of Madagascar actually pushing for entrepreneurship? Is that happening at the moment? How is the ecosystem there?
Um,
Out of curiosity, because I don't know much about the Madagascar.
yeah,
Um,
so actually there are some government support, like you have some platforms that help you. Actually, if you enroll, you can have like trainings and also fundings, but sometimes it's most often in the agricultural world that you
mm,
can apply. But then in my industry, it's kind of a bit complicated. Like there are some also, but it's not the government. It's more like international platforms that help you. Like last year, for example, I participated to a program from
okay,
Tony Melu Foundation. I don't know if you heard about that. So it's an African foundation that helps entrepreneurs with trainings and seed capitals to actually launch your company.
okay,
And so you have actually that's part of the good surprises, that you actually have a lot of programs and platforms that help you with trainings and fundings. And
okay,
I probably didn't participate in too many of them yet, because this year I also decided to focus on rebuilding my foundations, because I went through like how do we say that, a pivot moment, when I am thinking of changing my products a bit.
okay,
And so I wanted to work on that first, and then participate to those programs and other funding uh, opportunities later, like maybe at the end of the year or maybe next year. So I know that I'm ready, and I'm going to present exactly what I want to present. Yeah.
nice. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that there is, the government is actually pushing for young people um, to get into the entrepreneurial space, to actually have their enterprises, because I think that's the route for a lot of change in a lot of
Yes.
countries. So,
Yes.
before I go to my last question, I also wanted to know if can you teach us something in Malagasy? Yeah,
Yes. Like what
any
kind
word or just for our audience, just so that we can actually take something or piece of your culture
of?
in the form of language, if you had something in mind that
Actually,
comes.
yes, there's a word that I love, that I like a lot, because it's mastu. Mastu.
Masdu?
Actually, mastu means like I don't have the right translation for that, but you actually say it to people when you eat, for example, it means like enjoy your meal, but then in
Ah,
life it means like be motivated for your next for the next thing you want to do. Like if you're going to the to school, like or if you're going to work, you say mastu, and it means like get motivated, or something like that.
Masdu. Is it like bon courage?
Yes, it's like bon courage. Yes,
Yeah,
it's not the same translation, but it can be the same. Yeah.
close.
Yes, it's
I
close.
love it
Yeah.
when some words in your in everybody's languages doesn't really have a translation to
Yes.
to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
then you
like
just have to
really,
explain the
yeah.
whole thing. Yes, happens.
Yes.
Thank you. Must do.
Mastu.
Must do.
Mazutu. Yes. Mazutu. Yeah.
Mazutu. Nice.
Yes.
It sounds
Exactly.
also very beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay, so usually how I end the lives, the intercultural conversations is by again ending it on a heavy note because why not?
you. Yes.
uh, if there is one thing that you would want to change within yourself or outside of yourself, it can be anything big, small, but something that you want to either do for a change or change, then what would it be?
um. Well, for me, I think it would be how do we say that? conquering my fears. Because
Mm.
looking back, actually, I realized that I missed many opportunities just because I was afraid of uh, I was afraid of failing, or I was afraid of what people would think of me, or I was afraid of I don't know, random things.
Mm.
And when I look back, I always, this is where regret happens. You're like, oh, maybe if I did this, I would have been there now, or if I did this, I would have this now. Or yeah, all the regrets. And when you
And
get the regrets, and this is also why it's good that it happened the way it did, because then it becomes experience. And
learning.
now,
Yeah, it's
like,
a
yeah,
journey.
it's learning, exactly. And like, now you're like, okay, now I need to sit with my fears and understand them so that I can find a solution. Like, okay, if I do this, what are the good things that can happen, instead of thinking what are the bad things that can happen. I see it like an investment, like investment of time, or energy, or money. Like, just an example, like, for example, when I needed to buy computers for my collaborators, it was like, oh, is it maybe it's too much money, maybe I should do it later, or something like that. But then I realized that if I didn't do it now, I couldn't grow. I couldn't, get more clients. And this is how you make the decision of,
Hmm.
earn your fees and go past your fears. And
Yeah.
actually, when it happens, when you realize it can be done, it's the best feeling ever. So yeah, this
It
is this
feels
is what
like
I would
such
like
an
to share.
emancipation, like you're
Yeah,
reborn again in a sense.
yeah.
Yes, I
And the
think
thing is,
having courage is so important. Yes.
And the thing is, like, I'm saying this, but even today, I still have fears. Like, but it's just I have a different perspective on how to treat them, and
Yes.
yeah, I still have some yeah, how do you say it? Self-limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Uh, but I'm working on them. Like, I now realize that they exist, and like I can manage them. So it's fine.
Yes. Yes. Even if you had those fears, you actually learned from those fears, and now